on this past Saturday, the Heisman Trophy ceremony happened. We all know by this time Bryce Young won the Heisman Trophy. I think a large part of that was due to Georgia, the Georgia game, as well as the Auburn game, him essentially saving their season. But there was some I don't know if I want to call it controversy, but there was some feedback, let's say, on Desmond Howard's comment to CJ Stroud. And I will say is I do think Desmond had made the joke in jest, like jokingly, like kind of a little elbow jab, kind of rivalry
Yeah,
thing. But
playful
it didn't
jab.
seem
Yeah,
to land the way that I think that he probably thought it would.
intended. Yeah,
And there was a lot of people, especially Ohio State fans, and really even some people who were not Ohio State or Michigan fans, just saying to the point, like in a moment that was really special for that kid CJ Stroud, like even him not winning the Heisman Trophy, just being there is a really special thing. I mean, there's only 4 finalists, so those guys get to go to New York City. Like it's huge and it's cool. It's special and a lot of great attention for your school and yourself as a person in the NIL world. Great for your brand, right? So a lot of positive things there, but wanted to get your thoughts on it. And I'll kick it to you, Dre, first, and then once we, I'll kind of wrap up with my kind of thoughts on it. So, Dre, what was your feedback or take on the whole Desmond Howard joke to CJ Stroud?
yeah. I thought it was a playful jab. I mean, I don't think it's that big of a deal, and I'm not just saying that because I'm a Michigan fan. I just think that you know, look, this is a huge rivalry, historic rivalry, right? Um, no love lost, you know. I would say respect, but no love lost. And I thought it was a playful jab. To say that if someone had the thought that it was poor taste due to the special moment for CJ. Look, a playful jab. The poor taste in CJ Stroud to CJ should be the loss to Michigan, not some little joke thrown after the fact. You know, that
What I
little
would say on
jab
the
had nothing to do with.
I'm not understanding the last comment. So what was the poor taste about the loss?
So yeah, I think Dre's
Yeah, what I
saying
was
that,
saying
that
is that
that's what should be the poor taste was the loss, not the joke. Is that what you're is
I mean,
that what
if
you're
it's gonna
insinuating?
be anything like I mean, what I don't see, like, yeah, so your offensive line was no something like that's what's this kind of something about your offensive line did
Hmm.
protect you or something like that, and it was just like, what is a fact? They didn't protect him, and he knows that. I mean, and he actually had a pretty good game overall versus Michigan, but it's just like, dude, like this is a rivalry, I thought it was a little quick jab. I didn't think it was distasteful. It wasn't personal against CJ, and you just keep it moving. I thought, if you're an Ohio State fan, at the end of the day, what you won 15 out of the last 16, why would you care so much?
My
Like,
my
please.
pushback on that would be number one, Desmond Howard. If I'm 35, Desmond Howard's probably, let's call him 38. I don't think he's that much older than I am, but he's 38 years old. CJ Stroud is what,
No,
19?
Desmond
You know,
Howard's more
that's
like
just like,
50 or
okay.
52.
dude,
He won the
he
Heisman.
played before
Won the
Woodson.
Heisman in '91.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
So if he
he's
was
a lot older.
22 years old, he's
Goodness,
basically my age.
dude.
Yeah,
Nonetheless,
he's a
Desmond Howard
52
is,
year
is
old
a
man.
Matter.
a seasoned
Yeah.
veteran.
Wait till
Well,
I
no,
cut loose on
I
this.
think it does matter because Desmond Howard is whatever, 50 years old, 40, 50 years old. CJ Stroud's a 19-year-old kid. And then also too, what exactly is he going to say to kind of jab back? There's literally nothing he could say, and he doesn't have a microphone. Like
Yeah,
I just
that's what it's
I
like when you lose. You don't get the jab
okay,
back when you
well,
lose.
I'll let Mark go and then I'll kind of dive into
I
it
just,
and we can.
whatever. You about
No,
Man,
you about to get it's December 15th. You're about to get me fired up over something, and I think you're being
well,
ridiculous. I really do.
we are
Go
16
ahead,
days
Mark.
away from game day, so we've got plenty of
I'll,
time to
I'll
get
take a
fired
step
up over
back and
something
I let
else.
Mark. This is ridiculous. Go ahead.
Dre, you're going to
Oh my
think that I'm
gosh.
10 times more ridiculous than Des
Oh my
because
god.
I think that was a Bush League stupid asinine thing to say, flat out. So that doesn't mean he doesn't have the right to say it. He can say whatever he wants. but I think there's a lot of factors in here. Des brought up a great one in that CJ Stroud doesn't have a mic to respond. He's also not going to respond. He's not a TV personality that probably feels comfortable responding in that situation. He's a 19-year-old kid. He's not going to respond. I also think that Desmond Howard's a TV personality. He's on TV all the time. So understand that you're on TV all the time. You get the spotlight all the time. This is not your time to be in the spotlight. This is your time to be a host. They're in the spotlight. You completely took the spotlight off of them and put it on yourself. Now, maybe that wasn't his intent, but that was the result. And also there would be a difference if Tim Tebow or somebody else had made the comment that was not involved in the rivalry, that was not a Michigan player. That might have been a little bit different. But obviously Desmond Howard is kind of ganging up on CJ Stroud as a Michigan player, pointing out the rivalry and taking a jab in the rivalry. And I just think it's a clownish thing to do beyond belief.
Absolutely, it was clownish. But
that's not the place to be clownish.
Well, then why are you saying it's a ridiculous thing for us to talk about, Dre? If you think it was clownish.
It was a clownish move in terms of making a joke, but it's like they call it Bush League. It's like, if for one, you know who gets the biggest spotlight? CJ on the field. CJ in his results on the field and the team's results on the field will shut all the banter and trash talking up. I mean, like at that point, like it's just like I don't know. Like Desmond already is known as like a goofy character anyway. Like no one takes Desmond Howard seriously. Who takes Desmond Howard seriously?
This is true. I don't take him seriously. I certainly don't listen to his football analysis because it's usually about fifth grade level. It's horrible. But in this particular incident, he just, and that's not a Michigan jab. Like, I think Brian Grease is exceptional.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Former Michigan people are exceptional with their football analysis. I just don't think that that's the time. And I don't think he meant any harm I don't think he's a bad person. I want to make that very clear. I'm not judging or evaluating him as a person. I've said stupid things on here that I would plainly state 10 minutes later, 10 days later, yeah, I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have taken that jab at that person or whatever it might have been. So I understand when you're talking for a living, sometimes you may say things you regret, and he may not regret it. And I don't think I will agree with this, Dre. It's not the end of the world. It's not the end of the world. It's let's move on from it. But I do think it was a stupid thing to say.
Yeah,
it's not professional or
true.
classy.
I mean, look, it's a professional. No, of course. Now if you're talking about professionalism, no, it was not professional.
Part of his job,
but then again, when it comes to sports, there's like this little space that is allowed for things that we wouldn't do in a corporate office. Okay,
like
But I would argue that this is his corporate office. Like being on camera, any ESPN event, that's his office. So for him to do and I'm with both of you guys. I don't think
he didn't say CJ like sucked. He didn't say like, hey, I don't know why you're here.
I get what you're saying.
Hey, hold on. Congratulations, CJ. I mean, based on that game in November, I don't know how you made it here.
That's the point. He didn't have to say anything to him. Like he didn't have to say anything. Like Tebow made a little awkward joke like Tebow is, where he's like, "Oh, I'm so glad somebody's between Aiden and CJ." Like that, it was like, "Oh, that's funny." And then Desmond comes in. So here's my point, and thing that I do understand, and people are like, "Oh, I think that's soft." Maybe it is, and I'm fine with that analysis of, "Oh, don't be so sensitive." But I do think two things. Number one, it was a special moment for CJ Stroud to be there. Like, that's a huge deal. First year starting quarterback, like, that's a huge deal. Number two, and one thing that I'm not sure Michigan fans would agree with, even though I feel is true, had that been Jabril Peppers standing up on that stage and Kirk Herbstreit making a joke that didn't land like that, I think Michigan fans would have the exact same response that Ohio State fans had about the joke. I still think
I
at the end of the
disagree.
day,
You lose
not a huge
15 out of
deal.
16, or you lose
You're
15 out of
you
16, 4 times 50, whatever it was at that point in time when Jabril went back in, what was that, 2017. Then what are Michigan fans going to say? You take the medicine.
no, that's
No,
not what
that's the
Michigan fans
beauty
would say.
about when you
Michigan fans
win
would
in
say
this
the
rivalry.
exact
You
thing.
get to talk trash.
Just like I said, I prefaced my statement. Michigan fans won't agree. You didn't agree. Because the thing is, at the end of the day, it does like we're not playing a football game right now. Like I get it. This is a football ceremony, but this has nothing to do with the rivalry game. This has everything to do with
I'm sorry.
CJ's
I didn't know we were
performance.
in the golf club. We were in a country club. I didn't know we were at a country
They
club
are
where
at a they actually are at a
we're supposed to be perfect gentlemen in all this. Is that
That is not
is
what I
that what we're doing
said.
now?
But I know one thing. I know that Michigan
Sipping
fans
tea and
would be
crumpets.
upset if that was Jabril and it was Herbie on the stage that made that comment. I know that for a fact. You could say that's not the case and oh well we've lost the game so many that does not matter. You don't want to see even if it is a just lighthearted joke, you don't want to see your guy embarrassed on a huge stage like that. Like you just don't.
So, Desmond, let me clarify something because I'm looking at this two different ways. So, if Herbstreit was in Desmond Howard's position, are you saying in the exact situation and he had thrown shade at Ohio State's offensive line as being a former Ohio State player, or if he would have thrown
No.
shade at a Michigan
Correct. I'm saying
offensive line?
at a Michigan player, offensive line, whatever. But say so sub CJ Stroud with Jabril Peppers, and then sub Desmond Howard with Kirk Herbstreit, right? Because
Just say
that's still going to be
2017. Let's say go back to 2017 when Jabril was invited to New York, and
sure.
let's say Kirk was hosting, and
Kirk
makes it, even though he's the most neutral guy I've ever seen. Like
he actually is
at
pretty,
least in terms of
his fandom, yes.
outwardly, right? Now internally it's one thing, but that's why I actually like Kirk Herbstreit. I actually like him, but like. Yes, honestly, dude, I swear, I don't believe I'm just saying that. Like, I probably wouldn't have blinked twice because, like, that's how. And maybe it's just not the same both ways. Like, it's so lopsided where, like, when you just beat somebody's head in, sorry to be graphic, but literally, record-wise, you just beat somebody's head in so much. I don't feel like you can say it much of anything. Like, you just take the medicine, like, man, whatever. You're probably, yeah. Now, it's just. Look, man, like if you want to say it took away from the kid, here's the truth. Most likely CJ will be there again. Okay. Like he's he's only going to get better. So I think he's going to be there again. And if I had to pick somebody, he'll probably win it next year. So it's like, I just don't think in the grand scheme of things, I don't know, whatever.
I don't think that should have anything to do with it trying to project whether he's going to be there again or not. He may or he may not. But this was a special night for him and everybody on the stage that was invited there.
Dre, if that were you, your mom would be pissed at Desmond Howard. And if that's the case, then he shouldn't have said it. Really? You're gonna have to. You're contemplating that right now? What is going on? What is going on right now? You're contemplating. You're thinking about that.
I think my family so that jab. Okay, I'll say this and I'll leave it here. Okay. I'll say it and I'll leave it here. That jab shined over the many incredible moments CJ's had this year, the overall production he's had this year. I in the grand scheme of things, when you look back on the 2021 season for CJ, you're gonna think about his stats, you're gonna think about his moments, you're gonna think about the fact that he was a Heisman finalist. You're not gonna think about the Desmond Howard jab. That's just how I look at it. So
when people are thinking about CJ Stroud's performance, I would agree with that. But if people are going to mention the 2021 Heisman Trophy ceremony and presentation, does anybody remember anything Bryce Young said? He won it. I don't know that anybody does. I'm sure his mom does.
I don't.
But I'm going to guarantee that the number one response would be, if we took a poll a year from now, would be, do you remember anything from last year's Heisman Trophy ceremony? It would be Desmond Howard throwing shade at CJ Stroud. I guarantee it.
Yep. You're probably right, Mark. And you know the beauty of that for our position right now. You know the beauty of that for our position right now. That adds spice to the rivalry, baby. There we go. You know what? When they're doing their promos for next year's game, they probably going to have that in there. I'm probably going to be sprinkled in there. You know, so hey, at the end of the day, it probably helps us all right now, right? Just add a little juice there. But I understand where you guys are coming from. I understand.
The last thing I'll say about it that has nothing to do with actually what was said, but what Dre just said, having worked at that place for 19 years, I guarantee you that there will be internal debate and there will be all sorts of various red tape and things that will have to be debated and approved to make that decision of whether they will highlight that or not highlight that. I do guarantee you that.
Yeah, well, that's unfortunate. I hope they do, because look, it's all fun and games, you know, and you know it gets decided on the field. I mean, look, I thought about using this. I had this like card in my deck to play, but then again, I thought you guys would have rebutted and said, you know, well, this is a kid, a recruit. You guys saw the recruit by Ohio State. I can't think of the kid's name. I'm sure Mark knows. They talking about, you know, well, that's never going to happen again in terms of Michigan winning. So not nearly the same, not nearly the same caliber. He's not Desmond Howard, I understand, but I don't know.
Well, there's only a couple of those every, you know, generation, but